McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr, Reinhart, all on the ice with Sidney Crosby on this power play.
I'm Chris.
I'm Mateo.
All right, and let's kick things off with episode three. We've already done two episodes, talked a little bit about hockey, talked a little bit about football. That's what this is all about. This time, the NHL season is on break right now as they're doing the Four Nations face-off. So we don't have too much to talk about in the NHL, so we're going to talk about the Four Nations. And I'm going to give you a little preview, see who we think's going to win the whole thing, that kind of thing. And then we'll get into the Super Bowl a little bit later because, of course, that happened this past Sunday. But we are, disclaimer, recording this on Tuesday, February 11th. So it is before the tournament has started because it starts Wednesday, February 12th. But the episode won't be coming out till February 14th, Valentine's Day on Friday. So there will be two games that have played when this comes out. So we don't know what happened in those games yet, though. So these predictions have nothing to do with knowing what happened in those games. So, anyways, let's kick things off. Um, let's get into a quick preview of each team. We kind of already touched upon it a little bit in, I believe, our first episode, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's start off with Finland. So, Finland. Let's get Mateo's take on Finland, and we'll all go around and kind of share what we think about the team, talk about any snubs, talk about how we think they're going to do, who's going to do the best, whatever you'd like to talk about. Mateo, kick it off with Finland.
Well, let's be honest. I don't think anyone here thinks that Finland's actually going to win this whole thing. They're obviously the worst team in the tournament, but could be an underdog that people really root for here. Was surprised Mikael Granlund got the assistant captaincy. That was kind of crazy. Barkov, Rantanen, Aho. If those three could go crazy, I could see them maybe beating Sweden in an upset game. But I'll be really surprised if they make it, especially with that pretty awful defense defenseman group they got going there. Oli Mata on the second line compared to the other teams playing this tournament, they're not really on par. So that's really my take.
Yeah, that's fair. Who ended up replacing Yanni Hakanpää on defense? I don't even know who ended up going in for him because he is
There's
not
Nicholas
going to be.
Martin Paolo and Urho Vakinen. So one of
Uh,
those two.
oh, Vakanainen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
Okay.
Vakinainen, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could talk a little bit about Finland. I think I don't think they're a terrible team. Like they're not atrocious, but yeah, when you're comparing them to Canada, US, and Sweden, it's kind of hard to really compare them. Like their forward group, obviously it doesn't compete with those three, but it's not bad. It's decent. Their decor is pretty rough. It's not great. Again, it's not terrible. Like their top two, or sorry, top four is all right, but actually, Miro Heiskanen's not going anymore, I don't think. Is he?
No,
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 Yeah,
so
no.
that's also
no.
a huge loss.
Yeah,
So their top four isn't looking that great anymore. But their goaltending's not terrible, actually. Their goaltending is probably better than Canada. Like UC
By far.
Saros. Yeah, UC
yeah,
Saros, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and Kevin Lankinen is pretty solid.
yeah.
But I could see them maybe stealing a game off like Sweden or something, just because, UC Saros can stand on his head. And like I said, that like that top line of Lehkonen, Barkov, and Rantanen is pretty good. And even the second line of Rope Hintz, Sebastian Aho, and Patrick Laine, like it's a pretty solid top six, honestly. Like I said, I don't see them going very far. Like I see them maybe scraping a game against Sweden or something. Maybe they shock US or Canada, but I don't see them winning more than a game if they're lucky. But yeah, Ryan or Chris, what do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah, I don't really got much to much to say about Finland at the moment. But that you guys have already said it. They're like, yeah, their goaltending is it's decent. Like I think it's pretty good. Probably easily the highlight of the team in my opinion, with the three trio going on there. Granlund, he's there with the assistant captainy. He's not bad. Like he's pretty good. Same with Barkov, Liney, and Rantanen. I think that they'll yeah, you guys said it before where it's like they may steal a game against Sweden, but other than that, I don't think they're doing too much damage in this tournament.
Yeah, I would have been a lot higher on them before the Rantanen trade, but this guy has like kind of stunk since leaving Nathan McKinnon. I think he has 2 points in 6 games, which don't get me wrong, stunk is, 2 points in 6 games isn't terrible, but compared to what he was doing, and Martin Necas is up over, well, like I think he's a point over a point per game playing with Nathan McKinnon. So is Rantanen all that, or was it the McKinnon McCarr effect? So we're gonna only time will tell there. Um, if you listen to the last episode, I uh, I love UC Saros. I think he's great. But again, as much as Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, great name to say, with that decor in front of him, I think the only goalie that can buy them a win is UC Saros. The rest of their team is kind of weak. Mikael Granlund is the epitome of a great player when he has no great players around him. So it's really the only way they get through is UC Saros, and if Alexander Barkov just puts them on their back because he's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair take. Honestly, like now looking at it, because we have in front of us like the original team that got announced and like the team that's going, like their decor going into it, if they had everyone healthy, is not that bad. Like looking at it, you got Heiskanen, Lindell, Hakanpää, Ristolainen, Mata, and Mikkola, let's say. Now you take out Hakanpää, you take out Heiskanen, you take out Ristolainen. That's like honestly close to three of their best defensemen. It's not. Hakanpää's not their
I
third best
I was
defenseman.
gonna say, are
Heiskanen. No,
we
no, no. I'm
are
talking
are,
more.
are we talking
Hi,
about Hakanpää for a big loss? Like
no,
I'm a
no, no.
Leaf
I'm just
fan.
saying. I'm just saying he's not going. But Heiskanen is a huge loss. That's like easily their best defenseman. Like not even close. Excuse me. And okay, Ristolainen. Hmm. Like he's decent. He's decent. It does suck to lose him for Finland. If this was Team Canada, I'd say why is he even on the team? But for Finland, yeah, that's a tough loss. But yeah, there's not much else to really say about Finland. So we'll get into the next team, which I actually think is I think is going to be a pretty fun team to watch. And that's Sweden. So this time, Matteo, you spoke on Finland first last time. Let's get Ryan to speak on Sweden this time.
So Sweden is going to be a fun team to watch. I looked at NHL 25. They have Sweden as the second best team in the tournament, behind only the USA. And honestly, my glorious king Rickard Rakell made the roster finally, so I'm happy. Got his flowers. Um, the team looks really all around solid, but there's nothing that jumps out and is like this player will win them the tournament. Their best chance is a older Victor Hedman, like Philip Gustafson, love him. Markstrom, is Markstrom even going? I think so. But either way,
Allmark.
yeah, Allmark, like the
Mm.
goalies are fine. Like they're pretty good. Like definitely better than Finland. I think Pekkarin or sorry, well, Pekkarinen, what a throwback, but UC Saros is he's got the upside over any of these guys, but they have the depth. And it's just like Rasmus Dahlin, like they have so many good pieces that you'd want on your NHL team, but they don't have that big splash factor that I think you need for a tournament like this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say the exact same thing that I like their depth, like going right down to their fourth line. They have four solid lines. They have four solid pairings on defense. And, Allmark's a decent goalie. Yeah, Markstrom isn't going anymore, but Allmark's a good goalie. We've seen what he's done recently with Ottawa. Yeah, they have a very solid balanced lineup, but I think exactly what you said is they don't have that extra punch. They don't have that extra guy, like game-breaking player. It's just a very solid lineup throughout, which is why I could see them doing well. I again, same thing. I could see them beating. I do see them beating Finland. I could honestly see them grabbing a game against the US or Canada. I could even see them in the final, honestly. Like they're a solid team. They're a very good team. It's hard to compete with those two other countries, of course, but no, I really do like the roster. I actually like some of the lines as well that they've drawn up. It is a little questionable that the first line is Forsberg, Pettersson, and second line is Nylander, Rakell, and Zibanejad. But I do think Nylander should be on that first line, and I do honestly think Rickard Rakell should be on that first line personally. Ryan's kind of made me a Rickard Rakell fan. No, but he is a very good player.
He's so sick.
He is very good. But no, they have their fourth line is Arvidsson, Elias Lindholm, and Gustav Nyquist. Like that's pretty good for a fourth line. Don't get me wrong. But it's more the decor that's pretty sick when your third pairing is Forsling and Dahlin. Like that's sick. That's sick
Mm.
as your third pair. Dahlin on your third pair. But no, it's a very solid roster. I like the way they drew it up. Don't really have too many problems, but yeah, I could see them putting up a fight. But yeah, Chris and Mateo, I'm sure have more to say.
Yeah, no, the Sweden is just they're a really nice all-around team. They're a team that you're not really thinking about going into the tournament, but you're kind of afraid of them because if they can get going, like if somebody can be that splash player, they're going to make a lot of noise in this tournament. Like you guys said with the goalies too. Like I know Allmark has that kind of splash factor to him. Gustafsson's been playing well this year as well. I don't know if he's going to be that big splash factor as much as Allmark is going to be. But if someone would push them over the edge, it would be Allmark and Nylander and Hedman making that noise inside the tournament.
So Sweden, yeah, like Chris said, an all around great team. For me, what sticks out for me, they have some really big defensemen that I feel like could shut down a lot of the forwards on the other teams. For example, Hedman, big guy, Ekholm, big guy, Dahlin, a big defenseman. They're all really skilled as well that could put up a lot of points. So I think their decor is really scary as well. Has some offensive upside with Eric Carlson, despite him not being too offensive the past few years, but he could be if he turns it up.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I
a
know Ryan's looking at
I
me, but
mean,
last year you
Eric
wasn't that often.
Eric Carlson, I
That
think
lot,
last year still put up over 50 points as a defenseman. He's just like
not compared to
I
his
think he had
past
no
though.
last year. I think he had over 60 points as a
When he was
defenseman.
on the Sens, he had 80 points. I'm saying comparing
Well,
him to
he
the
got
past
100
two.
on the Sharks, then he put up 60. But 60 as a defenseman, I mean, still pretty good offensively. He just sucks defensively. He's still elite off. He's still like, in my opinion, a top 10 offensive defenseman in hockey. He just
Not
sucks
compared
defensively.
to not compared to like McCarr or
or Morgan
Adam
Riley. Yeah,
Fox.
Morgan Riley.
Adam Fox
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
offensive though. Like
Yeah, if he gets more
Eric
points.
Carlson is a better offensive defenseman than Adam Fox.
How many points did Adam Fox have last year?
I don't remember.
Let's see. Let's
Probably
see.
more than Eric Carlson. You know who
Yeah.
else probably had
Probably.
more? Morgan Riley.
Probably not.
This guy keeps trying to push the Morgan Riley agenda on us.
But all I'm saying is Eric Carlson's still a top 10 offensive defenseman. He just sucks defensively.
Hey,
Like
I wouldn't say sucks. That's a harsh word. Come on, Ryan.
he sucks defensively. Like
Strong
So
words.
he's in the I think he's in the like 100th percentile of defensive players in the NHL, as in you can't get much worse.
do you want to know how many points Fox had?
No, I don't, but you can say.
73, and Carlson had 56.
Yes, but also look who they're playing with and how the teams
That
did.
I was
Like
gonna say that is also a good point. The
the
Rangers
Penguins
last year
stunk.
were pretty disgusting.
Like again, at the same time, Adam Fox, I'm not saying Eric Carlson's a better defenseman than Adam Fox. I hate watching Eric Carlson play hockey. He's just like he makes too many mistakes. Adam Fox is if I had to pick one defenseman I want on my team, it's Adam Fox. But
Did Eric
like he's not as gifted offensively as Eric Carlson still is.
did Eric Carlson play the top power play last year?
No.
No, that makes a big difference as
He
well.
did like sometimes, but like not
Yeah,
often. And we had the like I think 28th ranked power play last year.
yeah.
Like everything was
That's a
falling
huge
apart.
difference as well. Because Adam Fox, of course,
And
plays top power play.
you can't just use a 1 year sample size. You go back 2 years and Eric Carlson put up over 100 points for the first defenseman
hmm
in
Well, Team
20
Canada does a
years.
sample size.
But you
If they
look
did a sample size,
well,
Zach Hyman
but
would be on the team.
We'll get into
we're
that
not on Team
later,
If
Canada
we
yet.
Mateo.
did,
But
if we
all I'm
did
saying
that,
is if you go if you're only looking at last year, not even this current year, only last year, you got to look at 2 years ago where Eric Carlson was over 100 points.
but these foreign nation scouts don't do that.
But like they do.
No, they don't. Or else Mark Scheifele
What
would have been on the team. because he had a better year
But
than
we're not on
Cirelli
Team
and
Canada
Edson.
yet. Like,
But I'm saying,
who
I'm
should?
saying that's
But
and
if
okay, the
they,
states then.
we're not on the States yet. We're on Sweden. Like,
Okay, I'm comparing them. I'm comparing the two like things.
okay, well,
You
let's
know what? Just because he's getting into,
move
I'll get
on.
into
Yeah,
the States now. Um, everyone spoke on Sweden. But before we get into the States, I meant to do this at the beginning, but I'm just going to put this disclaimer now for anyone listening. This podcast may not be as long as usual, may not sound as normal as usual because Mateo is getting over an illness, and so is Chris. So if there's any, voices don't sound completely right, or it's not as long as usual, it's just because we want to get this out for our fans, of course. But we're kind of on a little bit of a time crunch, and we had some people that were a little bit sick. But anyways, we'll continue on to the U.S. So Mateo already did one, Ryan already did one, so I will get Chris to talk about this US lineup.
I like this U.S. lineup. It's very good. It's very good. You have the Chuck brothers, Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Austin Matthews, of course, Mr. Captain himself. I think the USA they're gonna probably gonna make it the finals run in this one, especially with their goaltending, Swayman, Hellebuck, and Ottinger. Ottinger and Hellebuck have been unreal this year. Swayman has been very eh in a way. It's like he just hasn't been producing as much as Allmark has, and it's really hurting Boston. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're focusing on Team USA. The defenseman is pretty good. They have Adam Fox. The highlight of, for some reason, we were talking about Sweden, Adam Fox in Sweden. Uh, I think Mateo can explain that after because I'm confused about that.
he doesn't know his countries.
But we got Quinn Hughes out there. He's going to be pretty good. Like this defensive core for USA and offensive core, they're very good. Like you got JT Miller. I don't know if JT Miller is still playing. I think he is.
Slight
Yes.
Yeah.
disclaimer:
Oh
Quinn
no,
Hughes is not
Hughes.
playing.
Yes. Yeah, Quinn Hughes has been replaced by Jake Sanderson. That one should be interesting to see out there as well. I obviously like in terms of the states, like they have a lot of scoring power, a lot of defensive power. Um, the fact that Matthews is leading this team is huge because he is the captain for not for Canada, for the USA and the captain for the Toronto Maple Leafs out there. And you know what? He's doing a not bad job with them. I think he's doing pretty good with Matthews. I think he'll find a way to get USA over the hump and into the finals against someone which we'll reveal later.
Yeah, he's captaining your Toronto Maple Leafs, but
Only
um
yours.
but
Only yours, right?
I need
Why?
to speak.
What did I say?
No, you just said the Toronto Maple Leafs, but it's your Toronto Maple Leafs because
Only
everyone loves the
yours.
Leafs. Everyone
Only,
loves them.
only you.
Except for Boston fans and what is their name? Montreal fans.
And anyone who likes
I know.
hockey and is sick of the propaganda.
Well, I will get into this because I think Mateo and Ryan, I feel like, are going to talk about Adam Fox or something. So I want to get into this and just say, I think, honestly, on paper, this is the most balanced team in the tournament just because we'll get into Canada after. I think Canada's got a great team, don't get me wrong, but goaltending just completely blows everyone out of the water with the best goalie in the league, Connor Hellebuck. Maybe just behind Shesterkin. If you listen to episode 2, you
Throw
get the
back to
reference.
last week.
But
And they
Connor,
also have the guy ahead of Shesterkin, Jake Ottinger.
but yeah, they have Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger, which honestly, like, yes, Connor Hellebuck is insane, but you really can't go wrong. You can put Jake Ottinger in net and still be completely fine. And then Jeremy Swayman, who cares? And they got a great decor. Again, the best way to describe how good these teams are is just going down to their bottom pair or their bottom line and looking at who it is and seeing how good that is, and that just tells you how deep these teams are. Like their bottom pair is Noah Hannafin and Brock Faber right now. Like that's crazy. Their bottom line, their fourth line is Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, Dylan Larkin. Sick line. Like honestly, their team is sick. Austin Matthews on the second line is absolutely absurd though, and I am gonna quickly go off on that. Why is Austin Matthews behind Jack Eichel? Are you serious? What are we doing here? Why is the captain, the best goal scorer in the entire NHL, on the second line with Jake Gensel, that bum, and Jack Hughes? Sorry,
Whoa,
sorry,
whoa,
guys.
Whoa,
whoa.
Sorry,
whoa,
sorry, sorry.
sorry.
Wait,
Jake
I'm just
Gensel,
like,
top 10 in the NHL in goals, Jake
wait,
Gensel.
Sorry,
And
Dante,
sorry.
how
and
many cups does Austin Matthews have?
Austin Matthews is only second line because if you saw that video that I know you did because I sent it to you, he did not care whatsoever about anything John Tortorella said. So Torts said, "Nah, screw you. Second line minutes until you actually start listening to me because I'm gonna coach you hard, unlike what you're used to." Because
Hey, Craig
I
Berube is a tough coach.
I think Craig Berube is a tough coach. Do I think he's a tough coach to Austin Matthews? That's a different question.
True. That's a valid point. And actually, since you brought that up, coaching is a big thing as well. I absolutely hate John Tortorella. I think he's a terrible coach. I don't think he's a good coach at all. And I know that that might be a hot take. You guys might like
Well,
John Tortorella,
your
but
other coaching option is Mike Sullivan, and they're both there together. So I don't know how much better you're gonna do.
But I'm just saying, I hate John Tortorella because I think he tries to push the old school style of coaching too hard. And I think you need to adapt to a new game. And I do understand that you need to be harsh, you need to be tough on your players. And I'm not even trying to like say he's so good because he's the Leafs coach, but Craig Berube does find a good, well, he won a Stanley Cup with St. Louis, but he finds a good balance of you got to be harsh, but you also can't, you have to adapt to the game. You can't be like Don Cherry. No offense to Don Cherry. I love Don Cherry, but can't be like him. And on every coach's corner, this guy's just talking about old school hockey. It's all about old school hockey. Rock'em sock'em. Like, no, I'm sorry, but you can't do that. Like,
That
we're in
was
2020.
electric, though.
It was electric. I love Don
Like
Cherry.
Don Cherry
I'm not
is
even.
is a legend of the sport.
He is a legend. I'm not even hating on Don Cherry. I'm just talking about the old school style. But anyways, back to this. Yeah. Anyways, they have a sick lineup. Nothing else to say to it. I would love Austin Matthews on the first line. But anyways, Ryan or Mateo, you guys can talk about Adam Fox.
Well, before we get into that, all I'm gonna say is you could genuinely just put one of the goalies in and have no skaters, and I still think they would find a way to not lose by more than three. Unless you put Swayman in, he kind of stinks right now. But with any of the other two, like they are two of the top five goalies in the league. And, in that top five goalies of the league, I think only three of them probably, I might be off one or two. I think only three of them got to come to this tournament because of Vasilevsky and Shesterkin, and two of them are on Team USA. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's gross. And the loss of Quinn Hughes is really tough for them because if they had Quinn Hughes, just imagine how much better their decor would be. Like, if you probably have to healthy scratch Brock Faber, like that's crazy. Like that would be unbelievable. Don't know if that's what they would do, but and just these lines, like as long as Chris Kreider, because he has not earned a single ounce of playing time this season in this tournament, as long as he's one of your healthy scratches, which I haven't looked at their lines, I don't
He
know if
is
he is
listed right now. He is.
perfect. He has stunk, but other than him, this team is so gross. I think by far best defenseman and goalies in the tournament, second best forward group.
Mateo?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with mostly what Ryan said. The only thing is, I feel like when their lower two lines, they kind of went more with a veteran presence when they could have went with guys like Cole Caulfield and Tage Thompson. I feel like
Matthew
would
Nyes.
add. Okay, you
Dante, we
ruined the
would
vote.
like to ask you to leave.
I think that was probably a Torts decision. He probably told. I don't even know who the GM is. I think it
Bill
might have been
Guerin.
Bill Query, yeah. He might have told them they liked the veteran presence, so they added those two bums. And I'm gonna say something here. I don't like in this tournament, and we're gonna talk about it with Canada. They add these system players. We just want to see star players play. We don't want to see these Bennett's, these Brock Nelsons play. We don't want to see these bums play. Who wants to see these bums play? We want to see star power on a Four Nations. It's not the Olympics. It's not after this. Who's gonna really care who wins the Four Nations? No one
Me.
really cared.
The players, like
No,
you
no,
play to
in 10
win.
years. In 10 years, though.
Oh, in 10 years, no.
If
Yeah,
it's the
no.
only
Yeah.
chance you have to play for like your country, you'll care if you win. Like at the
We're
end of the
talking about,
day,
I'm
this is
talking
the
about fans. I'm talking about fans.
yeah, this is the equivalent of the World
Yeah.
Championship that they got
Yeah.
rid of though. Like the World Cup of hockey like type thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's just have like all the star players on. Like, I want to see Brock Nelson killing penalties against Canada. Like, I really couldn't give a flying shit. Anyways, it is gonna be a really good team. I could see them even winning the tournament, but losing Quinn Hughes is a big loss. He's probably their best defenseman.
Best defenseman in
And
hockey.
like,
Fair.
bro, he's trying to like rage bait into an argument. So.
That's not rage bait whatsoever. As of right now,
Okay,
he is the
it's
best
not.
defenseman in hockey.
Um, yeah, and they have the best goaltending for sure. Connor Hellebuck, Andre Swayman's having a mid year, but he's still a great goalie.
Yeah. Well,
And look
now
how it
get
all worked out. Dante
now.
gets to start talking about Team Canada.
I'll be truly honest. Yes, I did do this on purpose. I want to talk about Canada, but we're into the final team, Team Canada, as we're all Canadian here. We're all cheering for Team Canada. I'll get into it, and it won't be that long, anyways. We're gonna do our predictions after, but yes, I said that the US has the most all-around team on paper, and I do believe that because I do believe Canada has the best forward group. I do believe the defense would have been debatable if Quinn Hughes was in, but with Quinn Hughes being out, I do think we have a slightly better decor. It's really tough to say. If Quinn Hughes is in, I actually would give it to the US, but with him out, I'm giving it to Canada. Goaltending, I'm gonna have to give to Canada's. I'm joking. The
Hey,
US has
Richmond
like
Hill's own Jordan Binnington.
30 times better, 30 times better goaltending. But yeah, Canada's forward group, like let's just quickly. I know we all know this because we all talked about it earlier, but can we just hear? I just want everyone to hear that power play one more time. Sidney Crosby, Nathan
Goat.
McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Sam Reinhart, Cale Makar. That is disgusting. That is so good. Their second unit is Mark Stone, Braden Point, Mitch Marner, Shea Theodore, Travis Konechny. It's very
That
random,
guy's a
but
bum. But
but
not
that's
trying to cut you off,
insane.
Dante.
Yeah, yeah.
That first power play unit, in my opinion, obviously, I don't know everything that happened before my time. Don't know what power play units or lines were out there. I know Lemieux and Gretzky played together a few times. I would have to say, without doing research, could be wrong, this is the best five players ever on a line together in hockey.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I don't know, same as you. I don't know, maybe back in the 80s or 90s there was a better line and I
Like
didn't
there was probably
I'm
one tournament that had like Gretzky, Lemieux, Messier, Bobby Orr, and
Bobby Orr came back to play.
yeah, just going
Yeah,
off.
I don't really know, but like, yeah, no, I 100% look at it. Look at it logically looking at it. You have the best player in the world, Connor McDavid. You have second best player in the world, Nathan McKinnon. Those are pretty much not debatable. Then you have Sidney Crosby, who literally
Top three
is
player all
Canada.
time.
Yeah, he's a top three player of all time. You have Cale Makar, who I know Ryan doesn't agree, but in my opinion is the best defenseman in the NHL. And then you got Sam Reinhart. I know it's a little random of a name, but right now, I think in the past couple of years, he's like sixth in scoring, I'm pretty sure, and goals scored in the past like 3 years or something.
Sam
And
Reinhart
he
is
just
sick.
he
He
is
So
a
is.
power
sick.
play specialist. Like he's great on the power play. So like that man, that line is just insane. But yeah, again, just once again, like I said, going down to your bottom lines, Shea Theodore and Drew Doughty are your bottom two defensemen. What? And your bottom line is, okay, let's be real. I know Mateo's going to get into this, and I'm going to let you guys talk about it. Brandon Hagel,
Bum,
Anthony Cirelli,
bum,
and Travis Konechny.
bum.
Like that could have been Mark Scheifele in there. That there are so many other names that could have been instead of those three guys, but that's what we got stuck with. And like I said, I'm gonna let Ryan and Mateo talk about that because I know they're probably a little more passionate about that. But yeah, in the end, this is best forward group in the tournament, best defense in my opinion, and the goaltending is just what brings it down with Bennington, Hill, and Montembeault, which just is vile. But Bennington is getting the start apparently for the first game, which Thank God it's not Montembeault because I thought they were going to be like, oh, it's in Montreal. Let's start saying Montembeault. No, no, no. He should not know what the ice looks like. He should be sitting far away,
Press
far, far
box.
away. But
Monta
anyways,
benched.
Yeah.
you
I
get
know
Montembeault.
I know Mateo will like care more about this, so I'm not gonna touch on Shifley. I'll leave that to him. But even looking at Shifley, who has been unbelievable this year, he's not even Canada's biggest snub. Logan Thompson is the second best goalie stats wise this season. And they didn't take him because they had a bad experience with him like 4 to 6 years ago. Like, what are we doing? Like, and Dante, as much as I want to agree with you with the loss of Quinn Hughes and like the Canada having the best defensive core, and although he might not play, if you have Travis Sanheim in your defensive core as a possibility, like Kale McCarr is the second best defenseman in hockey in my opinion, and it's a toss up. I just like Quinn Hughes more. Like it is a toss up. He's sick, as much as I like to say he's not. He is sick. But so is Zach Werenski, so it's not like they lose that top end defenseman. Like it's just and like Devin Tays is he's pretty good, but like he's not that same echelon in my opinion here. But like how do you not take the second best goalie of the season because he like rubbed you the wrong way? Like that's crazy.
No, that is crazy. And just Team Canada's roster overall, it's still pretty good. I like how Doughty is playing over Pietrangelo over there. I think Doughty should have been like first of all, like anyways. I don't know why he wasn't. I don't know what the reasoning was, but
Well, he
Doughty.
was hurt.
Yeah, he
That
came
might
back
have been
like
it.
he played 4 games before the tournament. Like
Okay,
he's only played like 4 games this year.
my apologies for that one. But I do still think Doughty is a better fit on this team than Pietrangelo. And even with the goalies, they just don't have that goaltending edge that I like to see. Like if we're comparing them to like Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger, they're nowhere near that level. And now over to Mateo to talk about Mark Scheifele, because I also agree with Mateo about how Scheifele got snubbed on this one.
Yeah, so I think Don Sweeney was on the Julio when making this roster. Because I don't know how you can mess it up with the amount of talent that Canada has. So, guys, I have a quiz for you guys. Not Kyle Connor. Mark Scheifele has 63 points in 56 games this season. Gets left off. And all around good player, first place team. Let's go to Sam Bennett. 35 points in 55 games. And he apparently is a grinder and he fits a different role on the team. Who would you guys rather have on your team?
Um,
Who wants
I,
to go
I
first?
I think the guy was over 60 points in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clear. You also have to look, not that I'm saying I disagree with you, because Sam Bennett should not be on the team over Shifley, but you have to look. At some point, there is too much star power and not enough grit if you're trying to win a hockey game. Not saying I agree with the decision. I still think you take Shifley, because Shifley can lay a big hit. You saw that one. Keep your head up, Jake Evans. But
Yeah.
it's just you need a little bit, and the rest of this roster minus Brad Marchand doesn't give you any.
Konechny has a bit of grit to be
He's a
fair.
bum.
Chris, what do you think?
That's
Who
such a
would
weird
you rather have
reason
on
to
your
do that.
team?
I'd rather take Scheifele on that one. He's got 60 points, and I do think that he is a better player. Don't get me wrong, Sam Bennett is still pretty good, but out of the two, I'd rather take Scheifele over Bennett.
Thank you. Thank you. 100%. I agree with you 100%.
Like,
And
don't don't
go
get me
ahead,
wrong
Grant.
here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wasn't saying like I'd rather Bennett than Shifley. I think you need someone to fill that role Bennett does. And there's worse players on this team, in my opinion, than Sam Bennett. I think the first player you get rid of is Anthony
Anthony
Cirelli
Cirelli.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's not playing that grinder role. He's playing a wannabe skill player role, and you could put a skill player who's a superstar in that role in Mark Scheifele. And I think that is the second biggest blunder to this team. And if Canada loses this tournament, I think you blame them picking Anthony Cirelli, not picking Scheifele, missing out on Logan Thompson and having two idiots named Travis from Philadelphia.
Yeah, and
No,
and
I'll
also
agree with that. Sorry,
Yeah,
Dante.
no,
I'll agree with that
yeah,
100%. Like, look, Travis Konecny, he's been pretty good this year, but I'm still taking Scheifele over him on that one.
100%. Yeah.
Like, even Sanheim, I'm sure there was a better defenseman out there that you could have picked up.
oh,
I
there's
can name at
plenty.
least 10.
I'm sure there
I don't think
definitely
there's a
was.
worse defenseman you could have picked up.
I can name at least 10 right
And
now.
even
On
goalies, like Logan Thompson has been good this year, and you chose like don't get me wrong, I like Montembeault. I can't pronounce that today. I'm sick.
No, you
Uh,
pronounced it right. You pronounced it
Yeah,
right.
you got that one.
Yeah, yeah,
hey, thanks.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, he's a good goalie, but over Logan Thompson is just insanity to me.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sure
actually,
it is to all of our
It's
listeners too.
it's just because like Logan Thompson like rubbed them the wrong way when he was in Vegas. Like, fuck off, who cares?
yeah,
And it
I
could have even been just because it was in Montreal that
Like,
they had
get
to
rid of
pick
Aiden
someone.
Hill. Like, get rid of
yeah.
any of these guys first.
yeah.
Like, is
The end
Canada's goaltending this so low that like
it
this the
kind of
It's that
is,
best?
low.
unfortunately.
This is the best they came up with.
The worst it's ever been. I don't think
Yeah,
there's
it
been worse
is.
goaltending in Canada history.
Our old goaltending used to be Carey Price, Roberto
Luongo,
Luongo,
Martin Brodeur,
Martin
Fleury,
Brodeur, like
Mike Smith prime.
just fall
yeah,
Marc-Andre
off,
Fleury, like it's
just fall
unreal.
from grace. But
even
yeah,
Flurry. Why don't you get Flurry? Like I know he's 40, but
mhm.
it's still
This
Flurry.
he would have been. I love the guy, favorite goalie of all time. Would love to see him like be on the roster as that third goalie. But if you take him, you're taking him because it's Marc-Andre Fleury,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
not because you want to win the
He's
tournament.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
I completely agree
as
with
much as I
that.
would
Well,
still take him
it
on my team for one season over Samuel Montembeault, I think that's a little biased too. Like, I
well
think
it
Montembeault gives
seems like
you
they
a better
took
chance.
Travis Sanheim because he's Travis Sanheim at this point,
The
right?
yeah, yeah. That I can't get over that. Like
See, it doesn't make sense.
no, I can't get over that. The Anthony Cirelli thing, I also can't get over
He
because, like
sucks.
Ryan made a
Yeah.
point earlier about Brandon Hagel having a very good year, but they picked him before he was having the very good year. Same with Anthony Cirelli. He has 42 points in 53 games this year. He's having a decent year. Last year had 45 points in a full season. So we're picking a guy that's half a point a game as our star player, as a guy that's supposed to be flashy and score goals and get points. Not like he's a grinder. It's not like, like you said about well, okay, Mateo said it about Konechny, but like you said about Sam Bennett. So why are we picking him? Like it makes no sense. Like I don't know in what world you pick that over Mark Scheifele.
I'll
And
tell you why.
Well,
Oh no, go ahead. Go.
I would understand if the tournament was being played at like Von Iceplex, but it's not in Woodbridge. Like, we can go over. Like, it's in Montreal. We don't need to pick hometown heroes from place that isn't even being played.
Yeah. Well, it's the
Mateo, you
Tampa
said you'll tell
Glaze.
us why.
Yeah, it's
Why
the
is
Tampa Glaze. John Cooper's
yeah.
the coach. He wants his players to play.
Yeah.
Sorelli and Hagel are on the same line. You're telling me that he didn't say, I want Sorelli and Hagel to play, or else I'm not coaching? I'm betting right now that was in his clause to have Sorelli and Hagel on that
I'm
fourth
taking a
line.
different coach and winning the goddamn tournament.
And it's funny that we were talking about Travis Sanheim and like, oh, like what other defenseman? Can I just read a few names? And you stop me when you hear a defenseman worse than Travis
We're
Sanheim,
gonna be
okay?
here for like
Just
6
stop me,
hours.
okay?
I don't think we're
Uh,
ever leaving.
Noah Dobson, Dougie Hamilton. These are guys not on the team, of course.
Yeah.
Morgan Riley, Aaron Ekblad, Bowen Byram, Jared Spurgeon, Chris Letang, Mackenzie Weegar, Mike Matheson, Vince Dunn, Brent Burns, Colton Parayko. Is he on the team? He is.
Yeah, it's on the team.
Owen Power. I'm just going through, so stop me if you do hear a name. Sean
Yeah, I
Dursey,
haven't heard him yet.
Thomas Shabbat.
Sean
Ca
Dursey's debatable.
No, Sean Dursey's better. Don't
You
even.
okay,
think?
Don't even.
Okay, Cam Fowler. Um,
No, he's having good. He's
A-
having playing good
Adam.
this
I don't know
year.
if I said Adam Pellick, but
You did not.
Darnell
Okay, no,
Nurse, Damon Severson,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I'll stop there. I'll stop at
Oh,
Severson.
you can keep going for me.
He's a
Sam
bomb.
Gerard,
Severson's a bomb.
Gerard's
Sam
better.
Gerard. Gerard's better. Yeah.
Brendan Dillon.
Dylan's better.
Braden Schneider.
I don't even know who that is.
Are you stopping me
Probably,
yet?
it's probably better. I stopped you at Severson
You
because
could take
Severson's
you could
a
take a
bum.
minor Adams select kid, bro, and it'd be
But you're
better.
like you're like
That kid's in
20
grade
names
4.
in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, come on. What are we doing here? If I can name at least 20 defensemen better, what are we doing?
Well, don't say this on Twitter. Flyers players will start tweeting at you saying clearly you don't watch the games.
I've watched every game they played against the Penguins, and he hasn't impressed me once that I've seen him play against the
Oh
Penguins.
man.
They did clap us the other night though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't rate Travis Sanheim high at all. I remember when the Leafs were trying to trade for him, and trust me, I watched a lot of Philly games because I was curious. I was like, "Oh, who's this guy we're trying to get?" Did not impress me. Did not even a little bit. But anyways, let's move on. I think we've talked enough about each team.
Yeah.
So we'll get into a little Four Nations preview. So we're gonna give you who we think is gonna be in the finals, what the score is gonna be, and who we think is going to be the tournament MVP. So I'll start off and then we can go Mateo, Ryan, then Chris. So I'm going to start off and say, honestly, as much as I want to be different, I'm just going to go with Canada versus USA. Like, it's hard to be different when those teams look as good as they do. Um, I'm being a little biased putting Canada in there because I think there's no way the US isn't in there just because of their goaltending. Whereas Canada, I could see getting upset just because their goaltending isn't very good. But I'm gonna go Canada, USA, and I'm gonna say that Canada is going to unfortunately lose. I'm going to say they're going to lose 3-2 in the final. And I think it's going to come down to they're going to be all over the US, but that, like, whoever it is, Hellebuck or Ottinger, is just going to absolutely stand on their head. And we're going to end up losing, unfortunately. And I think the MVP of the tournament is going to be. I think it's going to be Hellebuck. I think it's going to be he's going to get most of the starts. I think, and I think he's going to end up winning the tournament MVP. Um, yeah. So, anyways, Mateo, you go with your picks.
For some reason, I don't know why. They always choke. I feel the States are gonna choke. I don't think they're gonna make the finals. Even though they have a stacked team. I think it's gonna be Canada and Sweden. Like the 2014 Sochi. The States didn't make it the World Cup, and they didn't make it in Sochi. I know they have an absolute stacked team this year, but somehow they always do. So I think Canada, Sweden. I think Canada's gonna win. MVP probably Connor McDavid.
Yeah, Dante, I sort of agree with you with Canada US. I think it's what the entire world wants to see. You could probably ask your Swedish buddy and he'd probably still say he wants to see a Canada US final. It's just the best game by far. Um, and I think Canada wins. I think you are on to something about the goalies, but I think any of these Canadian guys can give you a good game. Will they? Who knows? I think it'll probably be a 4-2 Canada win. Factor in a potential for an empty netter there. And I have to give it to Captain Canada himself. Sidney Crosby will be the MVP of the tournament, just like the World Cup of Hockey.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with something different. I'm gonna go with Canada versus USA. Something very different from what well, most of us said, except for Mateo. Even though I kind of agreed where you don't sleep on Sweden, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with Canada US. Canada's offense is just insane, especially that penalty kill line or power play line. Sorry. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to agree with Dante on this one. That I do think Canada is going to lose, even with their stacked offense. I just think their defense and goaltending just isn't as good as the U.S. So I'm gonna go. The U.S. is gonna win 5-4, and then tournament MVP. I'm gonna go with Austin Matthews.
Okay,
No
that's solid
national
picks.
pride in this
I,
podcast
I
here.
know it's unfortunate. I
It's
really wanted to go
50-50
with
It
right
is
now.
Canada, but like,
unfortunate, but it's just Hellebuck and Ottinger are just so much better
I
than
know.
like Canada's goaltending, and it just kind of makes me upset that Canada just didn't really put more effort into building this team. They
I
put like
wish.
their offense is absolutely off the charts. Don't get me wrong, but that defense just concerns me enough to the point where Can they really win this thing? Can Aiden Hill really win against Connor Hellebuck?
Yeah,
Well,
I
if you
agree.
have that
Right.
power play, I think Canada
I,
could
Yeah, I don't think
could do
anyone.
it's true
anything.
that you can't take a penalty against
How,
Canada.
how
No,
can
you
you
can't.
keep
You
the
can't.
puck from McDavid and Sid and just
Like
win?
You're
if
not.
they
Seriously.
if they run the power play the way I think they should, obviously I'm not an NHL coach, but if you have Crosby in front of the net slash behind the net, you got what's it called Reinhardt in the bumper, like we said
Bumper,
earlier,
yeah.
and then
Hmm.
you have McKinnon up top, like slightly in that OV spot with Makar at the top, and you give McDavid the entire right side of the ice so he has space. McDavid's gonna get like minimum a point like every power play. I don't think Canada gets a penalty killed on them the entire tournament. Like McKinnon's so explosive, he can make plays in such tight space that he doesn't need that whole side of the ice. You give McDavid space, it's over. Like
Yeah,
who like when you play the Capitals, you can have a guy sit on Ovi. You have to sit on all five players on the ice, and you only have four of you.
I
Which,
know.
right,
What
I
the
know.
I'm not disagreeing. This offense is legendary. It's the goaltending that is concerning me.
Yeah, I agree, but the one thing I gotta say is that power play could be game changing, and I think that I've never seen a power play. I gotta say, like I know we talked about how good the power play is just star power alone, but like the guys suit exactly what they're gonna need to do so well that you have Crosby, who's just probably the best, well, was the best in the league for sure, in front of the net with his hand eye, but you have Crosby in front of the net. Then you have Reinhart, who, yes, Reinhart is no McDavid, he's no McKinnon, but in that bumper spot on Florida's power play, he's insane. I remember last year, this guy was scoring like it seemed like every power play. He's so good in that bumper spot. And then McDavid, you can literally get him to do whatever, like anything. But like Ryan said, if he has that whole open right side, this guy's gonna pick out players, no problem. This guy's gonna shoot when he needs to shoot, pass when there's a guy open. Like he has vision of everything. And then you have McKinnon on that left side. If you need a one timer, he's there. You pass it to him, fakes the one timer, passes to the other side, he's there. Then you have Kale McCarr just walking the line up top, going around guys if he needs to. Like it's so well put together. I honestly I'm now thinking about it, finding it so hard to like pick against that team. But like I agree with the goaltending, it's going to be hard. But one thing I didn't point out earlier, by the way, I just wanted to point out is I looked at the penalty kill lines. Tell me why the first penalty kill line for Canada is Sorelli and Hagel.
Of
So
course
are
it
we
is.
just gonna
The John
glaze?
Cooper, the Tampa
Are we
Glee.
just gonna
You guys don't
glaze
believe me.
Tampa
The
the
Tampa
whole
I'm
Glee.
kind of
time? Like
believing Mateo now on this
The
I'm
Cooper
theory.
sorry, but you're
Glaze.
telling me, and yes, I'm a biased Leaf fan, but you're telling me Mitch Marner, who to me is insane on the penalty kill, isn't going to be in the top unit. You're telling me that you have guys like Brad Marchand, who's great at penalty kill. You're telling me the first guys we're thinking of is, hey, let's think of Sorelli and Hagel. Like the Tampa Glaze is just off the
I'm
charts
telling
at this
you.
point.
John Cooper, bro.
Also,
They need to kick him off as coach, bro.
can we just acknowledge that if a single team in this tournament somehow doesn't take a penalty against Canada, the crime that would be to not even get to see this power play one time?
Imagine we
I
don't get to see it.
I think I'd
I'll
cry.
cry.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
genuinely cry.
that'd be honestly terrible
I
because
need
it's
to
such
see
a
it.
good power play
I need to
line.
see it tomorrow night against Sweden in the first period, or I will start getting worried I'm never gonna see it.
I'm so excited. Like I've never been so excited to see something. But yeah, that's gonna be amazing. But anyways, yeah, so
It's just
it's gonna be an exciting tournament. We're gonna soon get into a quick agree or disagree, but yeah, that was our predictions for the four nations. I think, as you heard, Mateo thinks Canada is going to win, but he thinks that Sweden's going to be in the final. I think US is going to win against Canada.
I think
Ryan
Mateo's not the
thinks
brightest.
Ryan thinks that Canada is going to beat the US in the final, and Chris thinks that the US is going to beat Canada in the final. So you have two for Canada, two for US. Like I said, if I'm picking with my heart, I would pick Canada, but I'm trying to not be biased.
Oh no,
So I'm
absolutely. Same here,
yeah,
Dante. Like
yeah,
I would
100%. I
love to
want
pick
Canada.
Canada. I do want Canada. Like Connor McDavid literally is almost my neighbor.
You know what
So
they say, always bet with your heart. This is not
Yeah.
gambling advice. Don't listen to me.
so it's like yeah, no,
I
it's gonna
bet
be hard.
that.
It's gonna be hard not to root for the guy who's
Yeah.
literally within all of us driving distance. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. No, of
Yeah,
course, I
Anthony
know.
Sorelli in Woodbridge.
Okay,
The Sorrells,
let's,
or
we're
but
just for that, we're moving on. I actually changed my pick. I think it's gonna be Sweden and Finland in the final,
Oh
and
yeah.
Finland's gonna win. Barkov. Okay, no.
No, I'd
I
say just
mean,
trying to be
Olli
different.
Mata, tournament MVP.
MVP, Mikko
Oh man.
Mikala.
So, anyways,
Mikael Granlund.
I wish the coach wasn't John Cooper as well. Like, I just really wish it
The
wasn't.
Glaze, the Tampa Glaze. You guys don't believe me. He put in his contract. You have to put Hank on Sorelli. The
Do
first
we
penalty
do
kill.
we know, are guys even getting paid for this?
I
Like, I don't
don't
think they.
I
I
don't
think they
know.
are.
because I know it doesn't add anything. Like, they still get paid the same amount,
They
like for their
there's a
NHL
tournament winning
contract.
though.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they win money if they win the tournament. I know
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But it's
I
probably peanuts to them, but
well,
um
I mean, it's a lot more to Sorelli than it is to McDavid. So I'll tell you
true.
that much.
True. He's gonna play his heart out. Okay, anyways, let's get into the agree or disagree. So I did four agree or disagrees about, so I did one for each nation basically. And then we are gonna get into some football. I have two agree or disagrees about football. So let's get into it.
Ooh.
So first one, who did we talk about first? We talked about Finland first, so let's do the agree or disagree about Finland first. So this one is kind of I feel bad putting this in because it's not at all talking about Finland as a nation, really. I'll just do it. If Russia was eligible for the tournament, they would put up more of a fight than Finland will. Agree or
Uh,
disagree? I am gonna have to agree. I think Russia would have a pretty insane. I think Russia would actually make a run for
I
the whole thing
I think
if they were
Russia
in
wins
it.
the tournament if they
Yeah,
have.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say with Shesterkin and Vasilevsky as their goaltending, and you got Malkin on that team, you got Ovechkin on that team, you got
Kucherov.
Kucherov on that
Kaprasov.
team, Kaprizov,
Sergachev.
Sergachev. It would be an insane team.
It would be a
Um,
great team.
so I'm assuming we all agree with that one. I thought that was a pretty easy
Yeah, I
one.
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. I
I
agree with
agree
Yeah,
that
We're
with
one.
Finland.
there
Finland,
was
man.
unfortunately nothing to be like, hey, agree or disagree. Mikhail Granlund should be on the first line. Like,
Also, did you guys see? I saw a post that said if you could add one team to the four nations, like obviously it wasn't Russia, but like I forget, like obviously I might be wrong here because I forget what country he's from, but do you know where Kopitar's from?
Slovenia.
Slovenia?
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first slide of that post was Slovenia. Kopitar's the only
Is it
active
just
NHL
Kopitar
player.
on the
Yeah.
team?
Yeah, it was the first slide of the post and he's the only active NHL player from that place. They
Who
can't
else would
even
you add? I
have
guess Germany would be the one I would
Germany.
think of.
Yeah.
Who do
it's
they have? Draisaitl,
they had like
Grubauer.
France.
I think they had like Slovakia or Czechia, like
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Czechia. I
Oh,
forgot about Czechia.
Czechia.
but
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you can't I
Czechia
don't
for
even can
sure.
you even build a full team? Like this is an NHL tournament. You have to have like there's no non-NHL players that can
Are
come
there no
in.
non-NHL players?
Yeah, like
But
there might be
then,
some AHL guys, but like that's still the
oh,
NHL.
true. Because I was gonna
Like
say, I don't know. Have
you
you
can't
heard
take
of
guys from Europe.
I think you
Nicholas
can. You can with Czechia, I'm pretty
Matinpalo?
sure.
No, but like
Who
it's an NHL tournament. Like you have to take guys within the
Yeah.
NHL, AHL, and ECHL. Like you can't
who the
make a
hell is
Czechia,
team.
Czechia
Nicholas
had enough.
Matinpalo?
There's no way Czechia has 18 like
Yeah.
18 forwards with like their subs and like 8 to 9
Yeah.
defensemen. Like there's no way.
I apologize. Nicholas Matinpalo is a player for the Ottawa Senators. Well, he's on their AHL team most of the time, but um,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can get sorry, yeah, I just had to bring that up. We can get back into the agree or disagree here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so anyways, I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
well, actually, I had right here. Um, wait, where did it go? I had right here like a projected basically like lineup if Russia was actually in it. Um, and there's like just to name a few players, like you got Svechnikov, you got Michkov, Kucherov, Tarasenko, Barbashev, Buchnevich. On defense, you got Orlov, Sergachev, Romanov, Provorov. They have a good lineup. They
If
have a very good lineup.
and if you can also use non NHL talent, like you can go to like the KHL, their team
Mhm.
just gets instantly better. Like you would take if you have Matvey Michkov on the team, you take a guy like Ivan Demidov on that
Yeah,
team. You take like there's so many guys in the KHL. Like you bring back Kuznetsov. Like it's just that team is
I know.
has so much potential.
I forgot Panarin existed for some reason.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Artemi Panarin, of course. No, their team, yes, Nichushkin. Their team would be gross. Their team would be gross. But anyways, sorry to show no love to Finland, but like, I can't wait till they just prove me wrong. They go on some Cinderella run, win
They
every
don't
game,
lose a
and win the
game. Yeah,
tournament. Like, I'm just gonna look like
they
an
don't let
idiot.
in a goal all
But
tournament.
like, I just have no hope. I'm sorry. But anyways, next team we talked about was Sweden, so I'll do one for them. Um, this isn't, again, keep in mind when I say these, this doesn't mean I agree with it. It's just the thing that came to my mind. Yes, it's about a Leaf player, but
Oh
it
no, it's gonna
doesn't
be a
mean I
Nylander thing.
agree with
It's
no.
it.
gonna be a Nylander one.
William Nylander will be Sweden's MVP of the tournament. Again, doesn't mean I agree with it. I will answer it as well.
Hmm.
But I am going to. I, I'm
Here,
gonna
if you want, I'll let you think, and I have
let
my
me think.
answer
Let me
already.
think.
I
Go,
have my
go, go,
answer already.
go.
Um, if he can be their splash player, yes, which I do think he can be their splash player. So I'm gonna I do think though it's also a no, maybe he can't be their splash player, but I'm gonna agree with that one. I think he can be Sweden's MVP.
Like, I think it's possible, but genuinely, I think it's between two players. Don't get me wrong. This forward I'm about to say is not the forward you are going to think I'm going to say, but for some reason, this in my mind, this tournament has his name written all over it for Sweden. The defenseman Victor Hedman. I think if Sweden does anything, Victor Hedman has to be elite. But I think if a forward for Sweden is their best player, it's going to be Philip Forsberg. Like, I think this tournament has this guy's name all over it. I think he has, in my opinion, the most potential to be over a point per game guy in this tournament. Like, if not well over, probably score a couple goals. Like, I think he's gonna have a big tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with that actually. I was just about to say I only player like yes, on defense I agree, Victor Hedman. I do think, like Chris was saying though, I think you know how we were saying earlier, there's not really like a game-breaking player. Like I think if Nylander is playing at the top of his game, he could make a big difference for Sweden. But at the same time, I think you're right. Philip Forsberg, I agree, I think can have a pretty insane tournament. I say insane tournament. It's literally 3 games if you don't make it to the final. But like I can see him having a very good 3 games. But yeah, I'm very iffy on it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say agree just because I'm a biased Leaf fan, but it's
Give me
very,
Ricard Raquel.
very tough to say. But Mateo, what did you think?
I'm gonna say disagree because I just hate the Leafs. And and you know what? I agree with the players that Ryan was gonna say. I was gonna say. I think an underrated two players that I say could win it. Two players on their third line actually, Jesper Bratt and Lucas Raymond. Both players that are actually playing out of their minds this year. Lucas Raymond being by far the best player on the Red Wings, and Bratt who has 64 points in 57 games this year, and he had more than a point per game last year. Very, probably one of the most underrated players in the league, and I'm pretty sure this might be his first tournament playing with Sweden, if I'm not mistaking. So he probably wants to prove something, and yeah, I think for both actually. So I'm gonna go for both.
All right, fair enough. I like that Jesper Bratt pick actually as well because
Yeah,
I really like Jesper Bratt. I think he is very underrated. But
yeah.
anyways, yeah, so let's continue on. Let's do one for the US. This one I think is pretty actually, you know what? We'll save the US one because I think that one can be fairly interesting. Let's skip to the Canada one because we already kind of touched upon it, and I think we're all going to say the same thing. Is Logan Thompson the biggest snub of the tournament? Um, I think we
Agree.
already kind of talked about it. I
Agree.
agree. I think we all agree with
Yeah,
that. I don't think
agree.
we really have to talk about it. Biggest snub of the tournament,
Like
not really much of a debate.
the one comment I'd say is I think talent wise you could argue Shifley's a bigger snub, but due to position of need and talent, it's
Yeah.
not even close.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would say. That, like,
I
yeah,
agree.
talent wise, probably Shifley, but yes, by just it just doesn't make sense because that is a position you're lacking, and he is this year one of the best in that position. Just very strange.
Well, I
But
think it
yes,
should have been Tristan Jarry, but
uh,
that's just me.
The silent
If we
after
wanted
that.
Canada to lose, then
For
yeah.
those who, since we don't have a video, Dante just looked like I was the worst person he's ever seen in his life.
Yeah, yeah, this guy with the Tristan Jari jersey on his wall, by the way, for everyone that can't
Signed
see.
Tristan Jari jersey, it lowers the value.
But yeah, I don't think that's much of a debate. He's having one of the best goalie years this year. So, anyways, let's continue on. This one I think can get a little bit interesting. I have a feeling we're all going to kind of say the same thing, but it could be interesting. Not exactly about the American team, but it's about some of their players. So, Quinn and Jack Hughes are a better brother duo than Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. Excuse me. Um, I think that's a little bit more of a thought. So it's tough because one's a defenseman and a forward, and the other is two forwards. But it's a little intriguing. I'll start off uh and just say mine will be pretty quick. I actually sorry. Let me preface this before I say this because if we're talking, I'm talking who do you think are better players right now? Because if we're talking pedigree and what they've done, yes, of course, Matthew Tkachuk has already won a cup, and da da da. Jack Hughes is just coming like he's only been in the league a few years. Quinn Hughes, whatever. I'm talking who do you think are better players together? I'm gonna go with the Hughes brothers just because I think looking at it, Quinn Hughes is arguably the best defenseman in the league, like Ryan was saying. And I think Jack Hughes is not really debatably an elite player in the NHL. And I think it's as simple as that. Whereas Matthew and Brady Tkachuk, yes, they are both top forwards, but no one is elite. Like, sorry, not elite. They're elite, but no one is exceeding their position like Quinn Hughes is doing on defense with being one of, if not the best defenseman in the NHL. But you guys can have your 2 cents.
So I agree with you, Dante. I do think it's the Hughes brothers, but I do have to say, Matthew Tkachuk plays my favorite play style of hockey to watch out of a player, other than obviously like Sidney Crosby, like Connor McDavid, like superstars. My favorite, like not that he's not a superstar, but like the guys who are like their own, no one can do the same things they are. Other than that, Matthew Tkachuk plays my favorite style of hockey to watch. That's why I'm big on Rooker McGroarty. He plays a similar style. Don't think he'll ever be as good because Matthew Tkachuk is unbelievable. But that style of hockey where I'm going to run you over and bully you and then put one in your net and probably point and laugh at you in my celly is unbelievable to watch. And Brady has that same style, but he lacks the put it in your net part to that elite level. He still does it at a very, very good NHL level. He's a very good player. But if you look at the Hughes brothers, both of them are elite at their position. You look at the Kachucks, only one of them's elite at their position. They're both great players, but only Matthew I would consider elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree
Chris?
with that on that one with the Hughes brothers. Like you said, I think it was Quinn Hughes is one of the best defensive players in the league. Like he's arguably the best defenseman. And if we're comparing, it's like Brady just isn't as good as Matthew. Whereas the Hughes brothers, I can take either of them and they'll benefit my team. Not that Brady doesn't benefit his team. Like he's still a very good hockey player. But I just think that when you're comparing, it's like you have two great players, then you have a superstar and a good player.
Yeah,
So the Hughes
Mateo.
brothers.
This was actually really hard to think about because all four are technically like they're franchise players. Maybe not really Matthew because they have Barkov, who is probably close to their. What are you looking at,
Are you
Ryan?
are you
What are you
forgetting
looking?
fucking Tim
Wait.
Stützle exists? Tim Stützle is that best player on Ottawa, and it's not even
Brady?
close.
No, it's not. It's not. Brady's way better than Stutza.
Okay,
I
I'll
would
keep
rather
that.
have Brady on my team than Stutza. Are you crazy? What are you looking
Are
like
you
that?
crazy?
Are you crazy?
Dante
Yes.
and I both gave you the same look. You only called me out.
Yeah, I did give you this
Did
same
you
Oh,
look.
I also
forget
gave you the
Tim
same look,
Stützle
buddy. What's this
existed?
feeling?
Tim Stützle's so
Brady.
good.
I would rather have Kachuk on my team, way over Stutza, 100%.
I'm so glad you're not my GM.
How? How?
I'm just glad you're not my GM because I
Wait,
disagree with
but
you.
no, I looked at you
He's
because you
the
said Matthew Kachuk isn't a
Oh yeah,
franchise
true.
player.
Yeah, we're
No,
not gonna let that slide.
I said because he has Barkov.
But
Matthew
Matthew
Kachuk,
Kachuk is the franchise player.
yeah, he's better than
I think it's
Barkov.
debatable with
It's
Barkov for
All
debatable,
me.
but he's
right.
better than
I
Yeah,
Barkov.
think he's.
I think that's a close
That
take.
cup run,
I don't think it's as
Matthew
far as.
Kachuk was their best
That's
forward.
what I mean. Matthew Kachuk put the team
But
on his back in the playoffs.
Barkov locked in against McDavid and is the captain.
Yes, and they're both elite players, but like,
But it's debatable. You guys are making it seem like
no, we're not
Barkov's a
saying
Well, I
it's
healthy
not.
don't.
player.
No. I'm not saying it's not debatable, but I also think if Matthew Kachuk was there as long as Barkov was there, he would be no debate the franchise
Yeah,
player because he'd
100%.
have the captaincy.
But
He
right
would be
now,
no debate.
I don't think he is. Like I think it's close. I don't think I think they could be. Like it's debatable either or.
I
All
love how
right,
when
well
you
then,
speak, it gets so much more controversial.
well then, you know what? You go with your okay. What
Like I
Hughes
can't even
brothers?
talk
Okay,
without.
go. No one's cutting you off.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with you guys, but fuck you guys. Fuck you. Kachucks are better. They're
Bro,
better. I'd rather have Matthew and Brady and smashing the net than having Kelsey Hughes brothers
to
on my
be honest,
fucking team.
we didn't even cut you off. You cut yourself off.
We,
Two
Mateo,
players on my
we made a look and you stopped
Dude.
and called us out. No one was gonna say anything till you were finished.
Okay, buddy. Okay. I'm
So
going to
anyway,
Kachuk. You
so
guys locked in my
Cool.
vote.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So, no. But I want to put
At
this
this
in
point,
simpler
yeah.
terms for you. Someone says to you
Dumb it
tomorrow,
down for him.
you're starting a franchise. Do you want the Kachuk brothers on your team, or do you want the Hughes brothers on your team? Who are you picking?
The Kachuk, brother. I think Kachuk's because there's a leadership core there.
If
And
you
Quinn
have
is not a
Mateo,
very good
it's
captain,
an expansion
clearly.
draft. You
Yeah.
have no players,
Yeah.
and you have an opportunity to get an elite forward and an elite defenseman, and you're not taking them over an elite forward and a good forward.
Ryan, yes.
Oh my
Because
God.
they can help the younger players. Quinn is a terrible captain. He let JT Miller and Leas cry to each other in the locker
I
room
don't
and
think
has
he let
destroyed
them.
Denmark.
If
I
you read
really
the
don't
story,
think.
you would realize that JT Miller was only traded because Quinn Hughes was a good captain to Elias Pettersson. JT Miller was calling him out and saying slurs to him at like events, and
Who said
and
that? Who said that? The mice in the
there
room?
were I saw at I
Who
saw at
said that?
minimum 3 reports about it
Three
through.
reports from who?
I don't exactly
Quinn
remember, but
Hughes' is
they
barber?
weren't ones where I was like, oh, that's like whatever. But Quinn Hughes was the one who acknowledged it and said there was a problem and tried to fix it, and then there was no
And he didn't
fixing it
fix it. So he didn't
because
fix it. And made Vancouver pay all that money for fucking nothing.
pay all what money?
The JT Miller
They
contract.
traded him. They're not paying him.
Yeah, but are they going to use him in the future?
They aren't paying him.
It
The
doesn't
Rangers
matter.
are paying him.
It doesn't make sense.
What money did they get? What money did they lose?
Doesn't matter if they lose it. They made when you sign a player, right? For that long, you put an investment in
But
him.
they didn't even retain money, and they got a first-round pick that turned into Marcus Pettersson.
Okay, and Marcus Pettersson sucks.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Ryan, I'd rather choose Kachuk brothers. If you want the young players to grow and not have a crybaby captain, I'd rather those. rather
Yeah, the leadership qualities you get out of the Kachucks, even though you just said Kachuk wouldn't be a leader because of Barkov, but that
I didn't say that. I literally didn't say that.
we'll check the tape.
I did not say that. You're twisting my words in
We'll
my
check
mouth.
the
I
tape. We'll
said
check the tape.
We'll
I
check the
did
tape
not say
after,
it.
buddy.
I said franchise player, skill wise.
And then
And
you
I
said
think
because of Barkov's leadership as well. You mentioned his leadership qualities over why he would have the
because
seat
he was
over Matthew Kachuk if they were there the
okay,
same amount of time.
right. So in the Stanley Cup Finals, who wore the C on his jersey?
The one who was there longer and had the C before the other one was on the team.
Oh my God, bro.
What do you
The
mean?
captain is supposed to lead the team, not the fucking assistant captain, bro.
Well, then why would he have a letter? It's not just one person who
Because
leads a
he's
team.
supposed to support. Like the assistant captain's there to support. The captain's supposed to go be in the locker room and be the main focal point.
Yes, but the assistant captains are also main focal points. You
Not
don't
as
have
much as
one.
the
You
main
don't
captain,
only
bro.
have one leader.
Mateo,
think-
Mateo,
If a
Mateo,
team
Mateo,
has
Mateo,
one
Mateo,
leader,
Mateo,
Like
Mateo.
what?
A team
Mateo,
has more
What's
than
he
one leader.
if a
yapping
You
team
know
about?
that,
has
right?
one leader, if a team has one leader, that team is never
Yeah,
gonna go anywhere.
yeah. So, but he's the sole captain.
Mateo,
So
you're
meaning the meaning that most of it goes to Barkov because he's the
But it's
main
not.
voice in the room by putting that letter on his thing.
And
Correct?
like
If it didn't
yes, he
mean
has the
anything,
letter,
then
but
why did
it's not
Matthews
that
get the
it's
captaincy?
not that it
Why did
doesn't
Matthews?
mean because they have to switch
Matthews
something up.
is it?
Yes, he's the main voice, but
Is it
it's not
just
by
so to
as
make more
Mateo.
jersey sales?
Mateo, well, yes, but also it's not that he's not the main voice. Barkov is that main voice, but at the same time, like Matthew Kachuk still has that voice and can talk whenever he wants. It's not like he has to wait and ask Barkov for permission to be a leader in the room. Every player in the room can be a leader, whether they have a letter or not. It's not like you only have to listen to one player. The
That's not
letter,
what I said. I said they mostly listen to Barkov.
but that's not how
Well,
it works.
well, I think it is how it works. So Al, take the L, Ryan. Cry about it.
This is
All
what you
right.
say every time you lose
Cry
an
about it,
argument.
bro.
Let me
Cry
guess.
about it.
Let me guess.
Kachuk's are better.
Let
Cry
me guess.
about
You
it.
won, I
Yeah.
lost. I need to figure it out,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cry about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
All right,
Get the
Dante.
tissues.
What's the next one? What's the next
All
one?
right, I'll continue on. So now we're gonna start getting into football. We're gonna start with I have two agree or disagrees about football, and then we'll get into a little bit of the Super Bowl. There's not, honestly, being real, there's not that much to talk about the Super Bowl, just because it was honestly probably one of the worst Super Bowls in the past recent history. Um, but anyways, so first one is Jalen Hurts winning the Super Bowl has solidified him as a top five quarterback. Agree or disagree?
Hmm.
Think about your lists in your head, because I'll start off while you guys talk about it. My list going into the Super Bowl, I wasn't that high on Jalen Hurts. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like him very much. But in no particular order, I had Josh Allen in there, had Patrick Mahomes in there, had Lamar there, had who did I just say? I just lost my train of thought. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and my number five was a man by the name of Jaden Daniels.
Oh Lord.
Um, and I did base a lot of that on the playoffs because of what Jaden Daniels did in the playoffs. So I have to also base what Jalen Hurts did, because, it did happen in the playoffs, and he did outplay Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl greatly, did play a very good game. And I I always want to. I find it so difficult to say this because in the end, yes, the Eagles put up 40 points, but at the same time, Jalen Hurts is not doing what he's doing and winning a Super Bowl without an elite defense and a man of the name of Saquon Barkley. So that's my problem. And just for that reason, I'm going to disagree. I'm not going to put Jalen Hurts in my top five. But then, wait, before
No.
because if I have Jaden Daniels in there, that's not fair to not put Jalen Hurts in there. So I am going to have to agree, because that's not fair to put Jaden Daniels. No,
But
it is.
it
No, it
is.
is. Because Jaden
Like
It
Daniels
is
doesn't
fair.
have
what
the cast that
and
Jalen Hurts has.
what you have to realize, Jalen Hurts doesn't like he's good, don't get me wrong. I like I don't even know if that debate's top five. I think that debate's closer like is he like top eight? Like I'm like I can't like he probably is, but he doesn't do this if the Chiefs aren't selling out for Saquon Barkley every single play.
Yeah.
Every single play, the Chiefs are their goal was stop Saquon Barkley, let the Eagles beat you through the air.
And it
Jalen
worked
Hurts had
to
Jalen
an
Hurts had
extent.
such an advantage passing when they were guessing run almost every play. Because the one play they don't guess run, Saquon's taking it to the house. Like they didn't like yes, he's a great quarterback. But like that supporting cast and that way that the Chiefs' game plan was, if you listen to Chris Jones, they were so worried about like stopping Saquon that they kind of forgot that Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, and Jahan Dotson like exist, and it makes it so much easier for a quarterback. Where I don't think this performance raises him on my like rankings. Like, yes, he has a ring. I don't value rings as a quarterback stat because of Dan Marino. I love that man so much. I can't value rings. Um, but it's just it took way more for him to have that performance than just him being unbelievable. Like it's just really like I can't put him top five. I don't even think I could put him top eight. Like I don't have the names off the top of my head, but like you said, the five you said for sure, and then I'd probably add guys like Jared Goff in there, and like there's some like
And
I
Tua,
forget if
yeah.
you said I
Hmm.
forget if you said Joe Burrow or not.
I
Like
did, yeah.
yeah, like there's some other guys. Hey, have Tua put on 25 pounds. He was the best quarterback in the league when he did.
Mateo and Chris, what are your thoughts?
Um, I'm gonna. What was the question? Sorry, I don't remember if it was
D did Jalen Hurts winning the Super Bowl solidify him as a top five quarterback?
disagree. I think he is top eight now, but I don't think he's reached the top 5 point. Like the top four, I think have already kind of set in stone.
Yeah.
Like even after his Super Bowl performance, Mahomes is still there. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Give that
Hmm.
man a defense. Uh, Jordan Jalen Jordan Love. No, I'm just kidding. It's Jaden Daniels in the top five. He's been unreal this year. He's broken so many rookie rushing records as a quarterback. So many rookie passes. Like it's just he's had such a good season. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put Jalen Hurts in. He's in the top eight, but I don't think he cracks the top five just yet.
All right. Mateo?
Yeah, I disagree, but personally, I think Jaden Daniels like fucking sucks. Like, he's just a terrible player. Put it nowhere near my top five. Personally,
Oh
like
my
the shitty
God.
Commanders. Like, why would I put any player with the Commanders in my top five?
You know what's funny is I did
I'm
not
joking.
expect that at all. I was expecting him just to say Jane Daniels is a top five, and this guy just went off on him.
No, for no, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'd
But he's
personally
gonna
put
put Kenny
Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Kenny Pickett won a ring, so
Yeah, he was
Oh
0 for
man,
'one in the Super Bowl.
yeah,
that's
but he
um,
hilarious.
had three handoffs.
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I put Jaden or Baker Mayfield in the
Yeah,
in the
well,
top
Okay, hold
five.
on. You know I love Baker, but I am putting Matthew Stafford over Baker Mayfield.
He
And I'm
might be a
putting
yes.
Steeler soon.
and
Did
I'm
you see
putting
that?
both of
The
them
Rams
over
aren't letting
Jalen
go of
Hurts.
Stafford.
He's coming to
To be
Steelers
The
No,
apparently.
they
Rams
need
are
to be
not
picks.
letting go
fair,
of
to
Stafford.
be
You guys are
fair,
gonna
I
get Aaron
Chris,
Rodgers.
Chris, they need
Ryan's
picks.
right.
They need
I would
picks, the Rams.
I I would put Matthew Stafford over and Baker over Jalen Hurts, to be honest, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
No, I agree,
And I
but
would put
Yeah,
you know
Jared
like
Goff,
hold
which
on, like
pushes
and
you
him out
Jared
of
know
the
Goff.
top eight.
like like number 5 to 7 would be like five. I'd say Jalen. I'd say Matthew Stafford. Number 6 Jaden Daniels. 7 Baker Mayfield. Then number 8 Jalen Hurts.
You gotta
Yeah.
put Jared Goff over
I'm
him.
not putting
Oh,
Jared
Jared
Goff in
Goff,
there.
yeah.
Jared Goff is a better quarterback than
Then
I
Jalen
who?
Hurts
think
is.
okay. Oh, then Jalen Hurts.
He's
I don't
he's
know,
he's
but
not
because
a better.
Jalen Hurts'
Is he a
rushing attack is better.
yes, but he's a better quarterback. We have
I
to remember, like, he was better in the regular season. Yes, playoffs didn't work out, but like, he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. He has all the tools of a quarterback, and he's doing it at a successful level. He makes too many mistakes, yes, but if mistakes are in it, like there's every quarterback makes mistakes. Josh Allen was top five last year, and he was making more mistakes than anyone.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. I agree. Jared Goff, I do think is one of the more debatable ones, but I do think all of those quarterbacks that you named, you put them on the Eagles, they're winning the Super Bowl as well.
Oh,
So
easily. I
I
also
think
agree because you give
like
any
yes and
quarterback
no.
Saquon Barkley.
Yes, but the
like
rushing attack,
And Cooper
it
DeJean.
all just worked perfectly. It was a great team build. If you like, because that Jalen Hurts upside rushing made it so much easier for
yeah, but
Saquon.
who out of those quarterbacks doesn't have that upside rushing out of
Jared
other
Goff,
than
all of them except
I'd say
Lamar and Jaden
Stafford because
Daniels,
Stafford's kind of
what?
slow.
they don't have that Jalen Hurts level.
Okay, maybe not Jalen Hurts level, but they do still
It's
have that
but
rushing
it's not the
upside.
same. You're not calling design runs. Like it makes it. You're not calling read options. You're not like
You're calling read
you.
options with Lamar.
I said
Yeah,
other
with
than
Lamar and
Lamar
Jaden
and
Daniels.
Oh,
and
sorry.
Josh
You
Allen
just,
and
just you
Josh
said
Allen.
other
And
than. Yeah,
Josh
yeah,
Allen, yes.
yeah,
Other
yeah.
than that, you're not calling them with Mahomes. You're not calling them with Baker. You're not like
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Well,
and it
yeah, I
just made it so
understand that.
much
No, you
easier
are
for
right about
Saquon.
that. It's the
I'll
same
give
way.
you that.
It's the same way. Even if you think, I'm just saying, even if you think Patrick Mahomes, I'm not saying you think this. I'm just saying, even if you think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, if you put Patrick Mahomes on that Ravens team, that pass run option just kind of eliminates itself to what they had it at
Yeah,
with Lamar and Derrick
yeah.
Henry. Like it
Like
was insane with them two. That's why they were so
yeah.
good.
Like if you put Patrick
So
Mahomes on that Ravens team, they're a worse team if you keep
yes,
everything the same than they
yes,
are right now.
I agree. You're
And
right
I
about
don't
that.
think there's a quarterback better for the Eagles than Jalen Hurts. But that doesn't make him a top 8 quarterback because you put him in a different situation,
Yeah.
and I don't think he's that good.
To be honest, I honestly think you put him on okay, you know what, this may be a bias, but I think if you put him on Washington, we barely make the playoffs.
Yeah,
And
I
if we
don't
do, I
disagree
don't
with
think
you.
we win two round like do what we did at all. I don't think we come close to doing that. So,
He's the perfect quarterback for their system, but
yeah,
you put him on a different system, it would have to be
exactly.
very similar, which there aren't many like him.
Exactly. I agree. 100% agree. But
Interesting.
yeah, so anyways, that was the first one. Second one, I just wanted to get into a little bit of not as much about football, more about the halftime show, but we got to talk about the halftime show. It's Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar had the worst halftime show in the past 10 years. If you'd like, I have a list here of the past 10 years if you want a quick
I don't
reminder.
need them. I don't need
Please. I
them.
actually
I don't need them.
I do need the quick reminder.
No,
I
I
know
don't.
last year's was Usher, the year before was
Rihanna.
yeah, and then the year before was the Snoop Dogg house party.
Yeah.
Absolute sick. That was awesome. Then the year before that was The Weeknd. The year
Yeah.
Hmm.
before that was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, also
Yep.
a goated halftime show. And
For obvious
then
reasons.
I don't remember which, yeah, sure. And then I don't remember which
I
one
use
was
Maroon 5, no?
Maroon 5, yeah.
Maroon 5. I don't remember that one too much, if I'm being honest.
It was pretty bad.
2018,
Yeah.
2018 was the Eagles and Patriots.
That that was Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, and then
Um,
then the Falcons Patriots one.
It was Lady Gaga.
That one was
uh,
cool.
And then it
Katy
was
Perry.
no, well, it was Coldplay first and then
Oh,
Katy
yeah.
Coldplay
Perry.
was cool. Carrie Payton.
And
Bruno Mars was somewhere there.
that's the
Yeah.
last 10. Well, yeah, he was
Yeah.
2014, but the last
Yeah.
10 years, yeah, those are the last 10. So, anyways, do you agree or disagree that it was the worst halftime show in the past 10 years?
Yes.
I
I'm
I
gonna
Yes.
agree.
I
Yes.
want Mateo to go
Yeah.
Yeah.
last. I want to hear his
Yeah,
opinions
Mateo
last.
goes last, but I agree. I think
Uh,
simply the only one that I can maybe compare it to for like being one of the worst is honestly, I didn't like last year's. Um, or actually, I didn't even really like Rihanna's that much either. But
well, hold on.
um,
She was pregnant. She couldn't really
yes, she
move
was
anyways.
pregnant,
Cheers.
Like
Don't
but
like
do
it's the
it.
halftime show.
Don't do
even the
it.
weekends one, like I didn't like
But
it
that
at
was also
first.
COVID
But
in
that
his
yeah, exactly.
defense.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of restrictions on what you could do, what you couldn't do.
That wasn't his fault. Whereas
No, it
Rihanna's not
absolutely
saying it's
wasn't
her
his fault.
fault, but like if you're
It's
pregnant,
not
don't
her
take the halftime
fault.
show.
She probably
Yeah.
got
It
pregnant
is her
after
fault.
the
What are you
fact.
talking about? I'm
And
joking.
she
Don't take it.
True.
you're not going to cancel after a year of planning.
True, true. But
Right. So again, so like it's one of those things where it's like it was cool. I found hers a bit dangerous when she was pregnant and she was 60 feet above
yeah,
the
yeah,
ground on a
yeah.
Super Smash Bros. Freaking platform up there. But was Kendrick's the worst of the last 10 years?
Yes.
I
Yes.
honestly think
Yes.
Kendrick was better at the one with Dr. Dre and Eminem and
It,
all of
Yes.
them.
it was
I
all
think he was
right.
better there.
Like it wasn't my favorite halftime show. Like I didn't like how a lot of the
I,
songs were just about the whole Drake thing.
yeah.
Like I
I liked
really
Samuel
wish
L.
he
Jackson.
played. That
That
was
was a good
cool. That was a
addition.
cool cameo.
Yeah.
But I didn't like how it was just about Drake and things like that. And like like there's a lot of Kendrick songs out there that I would have loved to hear him live. Like he did Humble, he did DNA, both good songs. And then the rest of the time it was just, oh, let's hear a song I made about Drake and Drake this and Drake that. And it's like, but people already know what's going on with that. You don't have to perform it live because we just heard it a couple days ago at the
Yeah.
Grammys over there. Play Mad City, play High Power,
The
Money
fact
Tree.
that he didn't do Mad City pissed me off. That is like my
That would have
favorite Kendrick Lamar song.
And
like
And I don't
swimming
really
there's
pool.
listen
How
to
so
can you
Kendrick
not do
many
Lamar.
there's
swimming
so
pool?
many good Kendrick songs out there that he just kind of made it fly over. And it's like
Yeah. He did too much of his new stuff.
imagine Money Trees live.
That's what I'm saying. He did
That
too
would have
much
been
of
Yeah.
his new
so
stuff.
cool.
He tried to do his new stuff. I get it. At the last Super Bowl, he did do some of his older stuff, but still, I think he only did like two songs at his
He
last
just did
one.
No,
all. He did all right and something else.
I think he did
No.
Mad
Yeah.
City, no?
Not, I don't, I think they did
I
the
don't
intro
remember.
to it, but
Oh yeah, they did
They
the
did
intro
all.
for
He
it.
yeah,
did
but they
all
didn't
right.
actually like, yeah, fully do it. But anyways, yeah, I agree. I don't think it was a very good Super Bowl halftime show at all. And I'm actually looking forward to who it is next year because I hope it's better. But Ryan looks like he doesn't give a fuck.
I don't
So
watch the halftime show, and honestly, I am crashing. Like, I'm out of energy here. So, like, I'm just trying to get through this last little bit of the Super Bowl and go to bed before I fall asleep on the podcast. I was
If if
trying
if
to type it in the little chat, but I can only text Mateo directly.
if the NFL is listening, please get the Foo Fighters on next year.
actually,
Why
before
would they get the Foo Fighters?
Because Dave Grohl is awesome. That'd be so
What young
sick.
what young people would want to watch that?
A lot of people
wow.
do.
Well,
Young, young,
since
young.
Ryan
Yeah,
since Ryan
they're
is
pretty young.
since Ryan is
And we're
crashing,
over 2 hours
let's
already, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
let's
we're
we'll
at like
move on. We'll move
two
on.
hours and
No,
like 20
no,
no,
seconds.
we're
I
only
didn't
at an
even
hour
say
20.
anything.
Relax.
No
I was
We're
way.
starting at
waiting.
10:20.
Oh, I thought we started at 9:20.
No,
I was
but
waiting to
I'm tripping.
trash on it.
Mateo, go
Oh,
trash on
sorry,
it.
trash on
Oh,
it.
okay. So, from a boy growing up in Toronto, listening to Drake all the time, I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna stand up for my boy. That halftime show was so fucking trash. I couldn't believe it. I was about to fall asleep at the beginning. Half the time, he was lip syncing or whatever. Absolutely terrible, boring. Samuel L. Jackson, what was he yapping about? Go play Nick Fury. Like, what are you doing here? Absolute, absolute trash. Absolute trash. Again, like what you guys said, he played his newer stuff, and then he said, "Say Drake." He smiled like a little fucking demon. Get out of here, bro. Like seriously, you're a grown ass man with kids doing that. Then Serena Williams is doing the crip walk. You have kids and a husband. What are you doing crip walking at your ex? Like, get the hell out of here. Absolute trash. But the saving grace was SZA. She had a great voice, and I loved all the stars part. That was the best part of the whole halftime show. Also, when it ended was the best part.
I
I
say
think it's safe to say Mateo is not a fan.
I say bring back the Super Bowl one halftime show. That was a jetpack demonstration, and that's cooler than any single concert you can put on at any point ever. Bring back shit like that, and don't make it about music. Make it about cool shit people actually want to see, because this actual Super Bowl halftime show, as much as people like it and people love music, someone's always pissed off. I've never seen
Yeah.
anyone pissed off at a jetpack show.
It's true. Someone
Yeah,
is
no,
always
it's
pissed off,
true. Yeah.
no matter who it is. Even though I just want to put a take out there because it hasn't been said yet who's going to be next year. I think next year should be country. And
I I will actually watch it.
I think if they do country and they pick Beyonce, I kid you not, I will never watch Super Bowl again. I will
If
They
never.
pick country.
Again, I think.
If they do country and they pick Beyonce, I genuinely think it will be the biggest blunder in the history of football, the history of sport, the history of entertainment, and the history of music. The fact that she won Best Country Album is
Yeah,
a
I know.
disgrace to the music world in
Yes.
general. You will never
Yes.
see a single person that likes country music ever play a single song from her album. People only listen to it because it was Beyonce.
Yes, and if you're gonna change, I know this isn't a music podcast, but if you're gonna change genres and try to do something different, do it right. Because I know I'm a big Post Malone fan, so I'm gonna be biased, but Post Malone did a country album, and I think even Ryan, who likes country music, I don't know if he's a big Post Malone fan, but can say it was a good album. He did country. He
He
got
tried.
country artists on it, and it was good. I'm not saying it was amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing because I'm
it was pretty
biased, but
good.
it was pretty good. And honestly, I think if you want to do something country, I think yes, of course you can go with like Morgan Wallen, you can go with
I think you
Zach
have to go with
Bryan,
Morgan Wallen if you get
but
one.
I
Yeah.
but I was gonna say if you want to do country, Morgan Wallen is probably your top pick. As I would love to see Post Malone do a halftime show only because I think he's done so many collabs that it would be sick to see who he would bring out. Like he can bring out so many country artists, Chris Stapleton, he can bring out Dolly Parton, he can bring out Tim McGraw, he can bring out Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs. The
Mhm.
list goes on and on. But I
I
think
think
country would
Mateo
be
would fall
sick.
asleep because he hates country music.
I know. I
I don't
think
mind Morgan
You know
though.
what though? You know what
Okay.
though? Like
It would be
Or
I
don't
think
mind
honorable.
a
Post
change of
Malone.
pace
Post Malone,
would.
yeah.
I think a change of
I,
pace would be needed. Like I think
exactly.
country music. I don't think they've done a country
I
artist
don't
in a
know of one.
while. I don't worry. I don't think Beyonce is gonna do it because she did it back
She's
in
done it.
2012.
Yeah.
She's done it already, right?
I
But being completely biased towards like other stuff, I like rock music. I do want to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers out there.
They did one. Well,
They
they
they they,
They
weren't
they,
the
did
they,
it.
they,
headline,
they they
but
were more of a cameo with Bruno Mars,
Bruno
but
Mars. Yeah.
I do think that like the Chili Peppers would be great, but I do kind of want to see a country because I don't think anyone in recent
No,
memory
I feel like
did
it
a
has to be the
country.
venue for it though, and I don't think San
it's
It's
Fran's
San
the
San.
venue.
Francisco.
It's
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think
and
Well,
San
if
Fran's the
if it's
venue
San
that's
for it.
Fran, like the Chili
it.
Peppers, then would be the good option
If it
because
was in
they're from
Texas,
California.
if it was in Texas, it would be a perfect time to do a country artist. And I only reason I think it should be country is I do enjoy country music, but I also think number one, like you said, Chris, it's something they haven't done at least in recent memory.
Not that I
And
remember, no.
and no, and
It's
number
been a
two,
while.
it is one of, if not the biggest genres right now. And I think you jump on that. Why not? Why
Oh,
not get
it's
like I said, Morgan Wallen, he's one of the biggest artists in the world. Why not get him to do it? Like, I don't know. I just think there's so many options you can go with there with country, and I think that would be a great idea. But you know what? Let's move on from the music
Wait,
side
wait,
because this
one
is
sorry,
thing.
sorry. I
yeah,
got
yeah,
I
one more
disagree.
thing.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
got
Go
one more
ahead,
thing.
Chris, and
It's
then
gonna be
I'll
very
go.
quick. It's gonna be very
Yeah,
quick. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
With country, it's been the probably one of the most highest grossing music genres of all time. Like it's a genre that has never died out. So that's why I think that should be the next year one.
Mateo, why do you disagree?
I disagree. They should put Sabrina Carpenter for
Okay,
country.
now we're
Okay,
moving
moving
on.
Next
on,
to
Mateo,
moving
next
on.
to the
you've
segment.
yeah,
Next thing. Next
All
thing.
right,
yeah.
we're moving on from that because this
You've
guy
lost
wants
your
to see
privilege to speak.
Sabrina Carpenter out there just because he wants to look at her. But anyways, moving on. We talked about music, whatever, why it should be country next year, in our opinion. But let's move on to the actual game aspect. And the final score of the game was 40 for the Eagles, 22 for the Chiefs. But let's be real, it wasn't even that close. They made it close at the end, but it wasn't even that close. It was an absolute blowout. Like I said earlier, probably one of the most boring Super Bowls we've had in a long time, just because it was just exactly what Ryan talked about when we were talking about Jalen Hurts is the Chiefs basically decided, hey, let's try to lock down Saquon Barkley. And they actually did a pretty decent job of it because he only finished with 57 yards, which for Saquon is
Terrible.
terrible. Yeah, for Saquon, that's atrocious. His line was 111. But yeah, they tried to lock down Saquon and they got killed in the air pretty much. Like Devontae Smith had 69 yards and a touchdown. AJ Brown had 43 yards and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson had 42 yards. Saquon had 40 receiving yards. Dallas Goedert had 27. They got killed in the air. And honestly, Jalen Hurts rushing killed them as well because on the RPOs, or sorry, on the run options when you have Jalen Hurts or Saquon, yeah, he read it well. He made the right run. He finished with 72 rushing yards. And honestly, it was never close. And that Eagles defense is just honestly, it's an all-time defense. That defense is insane. It is so good. Still hate Cooper DeJean because he should never have been nominated over Mike Sanders still. But anyways, he
There's
had a pick six.
Who
So
is that? Who's Mike Sanders still?
I
Does
there's
anyone know
three
who that
things.
is?
There's three things I want to say about the Super Bowl, and then I will let you guys go at it. I want to say first of all, Jahan Dotson ruined my dreams getting 1 yard short because ruined my bets, and I love Jahan Dotson. Second, Saquon getting stuffed by the Chiefs and not getting in the end zone also ruined my bet. Whatever. Still happy the Chiefs lost. Another thing that I think you guys have seen, I don't remember if I sent it to you. Patrick Mahomes highlights of the Super Bowl. If you go to 0 and 0 0, the start of the video, it's his highlight clip of the game starts and they're down 34 nothing. And it makes me so happy. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's the Chiefs defense, they did a pretty decent job for half the game. But when you're on the field for like 60 to 70% of the game, you're gonna get tired and let up more points. You know who I blame for that? Patrick Mahomes. He did not play well. And there was another stat where at halftime, Patrick Mahomes, and I know it's not a fantasy thing, the Super Bowl, but in fantasy points, Patrick Mahomes had -2 fantasy points. In the Super Bowl, -2. How did that happen? Like his reads were just bad. There was one drop. D Hop. Oh my goodness, D Hop. I can't defend D Hop anymore. With after that, you're wide open. You probably get a field goal on that drive, and you drop it. You were wide open. But even with Mahomes, it's like his reads just weren't there. Like it seemed like he threw it directly to Cooper to Gene on that pick six. And then he threw it directly to Zach Bond. I don't know where he was looking. Did he not see Zach Bond there? The protection was fine, and the Chiefs' protection was just terrible all night. It was so bad, their offensive line, that the Eagles didn't even blitz once, and they got pressure on 42% of snaps. Oh my goodness. The Chiefs just got ran over, curb stomped, belt to ass, whatever you want to call it. They completely blew the Super Bowl because I don't even know how. Travis Kelce looked terrible. He looked so slow. It didn't even seem like anyone's heart was really in the game. It just kind of seemed like they were coasting, trying to hope that something was going to happen there. And it's like there's a couple bad calls, but it's also like the refs just kind of let them play after that AJ Brown pass interference. It was one of those things where it's like you can't really blame the refereeing. I'm talking to you, DeAndre Hopkins, right now, okay? After the game, D Hop came out and said, the officiating wasn't that good in the game. No, you do not get to complain about the officiating because you dropped a pass. You did not play well all season. You do not deserve to be in the Super Bowl for the way you have played. You dropped a wide open pass. Do not complain about the damn referees when you were down 34 to nothing before Xavier Worthy actually made you relevant. Note on Xavier Worthy, he probably had the most quiet 157 yards, two touchdown game ever because no one cares. This game was over when it was 34-6.
Yeah, a lot of it came at the end. He did play well, like even before, but most of those yards came at the end.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes was at like 50 yards until like at the time it was
Yeah.
34
Yeah,
nothing. So
he
he
did
couldn't
not
have
play
done much.
well. He did not play
But
well.
also, this is what happens when the Chiefs don't get every fucking call going their way.
No, I
This
totally
is how
agree.
it looks like. The refs weren't great. Like there were some missed things, but the Chiefs did it to themselves. Like they got every call. People called them out, so the refs couldn't give them every call.
It almost feels like that this really exposed the Chiefs on their poor offense and being carried by the defense kind of thing. Where yeah, they had their offense was good in the playoffs, but before that, they didn't score 30 points in the season. Or they
Yeah.
did. They scored 30 against Carolina, but is that really like
Well, the only
it's
time they scored
Carolina?
over 30 was to beat Buffalo, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that very much.
The Eagles had over 30 in so many games. They dropped 55 on Washington. Sorry, Dante, but
Yo,
that's
yo,
just
yo,
a
yo,
fact.
yo, yo.
It's just a fact. But they scored 30 points on almost every team, right? Even my Packers. Like I know that they scored 22 in the playoff game, but let's be honest. If Saquon runs that in, they're at 29.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you have to
But
keep up offensively, and they just didn't do that. And it was really disappointing because I was hoping for a shootout. Instead, it just turned into a curb stomp.
yeah, yeah, but that was an example of what they can do in the sense of like when we played them, we tried to kind of predict when Saquon was going to run, when they were going to throw, and the problem is you can't predict it. You can't. It's so hard, and that's why the Chiefs decided, hey, you know what? We have a bet. It's basically it's pick your poison. You're basically, hey, we'll shut down Saquon, but then we're gonna have to be able to shut down Jalen Hurts and the pass, and they couldn't, and that's the problem. If you don't have a uh, strong enough cornerback safety, you're not going to be able to shut them down. And almost no team has that strong of a defense to be able to shut down the run while also shutting down the pass. Because you have to shut down that run big time. It's not like, hey, let's get a couple guys over to blitz on Saquon. No, no, it doesn't work like that. You got to get your whole team out there. So, yeah, Mateo hasn't really spoken yet. So I don't know if Mateo has anything to say
Yeah.
about the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna generally keep it short and sweet. The game was pretty fucking boring from beginning to end mostly.
It was.
Um, the score bug was pretty awful from a
Oh, God,
sport
yeah.
Oh
graphics
God.
or
It was so
graphics
weird. It was
point of
gross.
view.
Oh
It was
God.
genuinely horrible. But I'll say one important moment I had. I was taking a shit and saw a Snapchat notification pop up, and it said for Ryan Freeland, Kenny Pickett is putting his helmet on. I cleaned my ass the quickest it's ever been cleaned. And I see on the screen Kenny Pickett getting the ball. I couldn't believe it. I won $44, and it was probably one of the best moments I've had in these past few weeks of being sick.
Yeah.
Not a few weeks, past week of being sick.
You
Yeah.
know what? With Kenny out there, I was really hoping Carson Wentz would make an appearance, but he did not. I hate Kansas for that.
Hey, Mateo, Kenny Pickett did deliver on his promise to Steelers Nation, and he did win a Super Bowl early in his career. He just
Yeah.
gave up on you guys because he didn't want to compete for a starting job. He'd rather just know he was the backup.
Yeah,
But
they that was a pretty shit game, but yeah, I know everyone's kind of tired here and we're all it's late. We're gonna have to wrap this up. So, I just final thoughts about the game. I was just gonna say that Mahomes played the worst game of his career.
Yep.
No debate, the worst game of his career. And those GOAT talks have stopped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I know it's sad to say based on one game, but you can't play a game like that if you're the greatest of all time because Tom Brady didn't play a game like that
Well,
in
Tom
the
Brady
Super
did
Bowl.
play a game like that, but he turned it
Not
around late in
Turned
the
it
third
third
around.
quarter.
quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. That's what it is. When you're the GOAT, you cannot play a game like that in the biggest moment in the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady never did. Like you said, the one time he did, he turned that around and he ended up winning that Super Bowl.
Neither is Kenny
So,
Pickett. Maybe he needs to enter the GOAT conversations.
Hey, Kenny Pickett
but
has a ring.
Hey,
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Pittsburgh didn't fail Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett failed Pittsburgh. This could have been them if they kept him.
Agreed.
facts.
Agreed.
But yeah, so Mahomes finished with he was 21 for 32 with 257 yards, but like Ryan said, those he was at like 50 at the half. It wasn't like, oh my God, at 257, that's not too bad. No.
I
Those
think he
are
was under
literally
50 at the half.
It
Like,
yeah.
was, I think he had
And
5 completions or something like
yeah, I
that. It
think it
was
was
either
like
like
5 for
yeah,
5 for
47.
14
Yeah.
or something at one point,
exactly.
and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, those if you look at stats only, that does not tell the story of the game
No.
because I do
No.
not count 2 garbage time touchdowns in,
No.
in your game.
I was gonna say
37 to 6.
he
Like
had three passing touchdowns as well, but two of them were when they were down like 30 and didn't matter. But he threw
yeah.
two picks and fumbled. Like it was just
Oh, that
such a
fumble
terrible.
brought me
Yeah, that
so much
fumble.
joy. He got strip sacked and then absolutely
Yeah, and
wrecked by
destroyed.
Jalen
Yeah.
Carter.
I gotta say one thing about the Eagles defense though is don't get me wrong, Eagles defense is great, but also Vic Fangio like
Please, please stop. Please stop. I don't want to get into it. Please stop.
I gotta
Please
say
stop.
he
Please.
ran that
Please.
defense
Please.
perfect.
I hate that man. Everyone's blaming the Miami Dolphins players, saying they were coached too hard. Anthony Weaver was is coaching them hard this year. Vic Fangio, I don't care what anyone tells you, this man saw that there was a potential opening in his hometown of Philly, and I don't blame him. But he just started being he just gave up on our team. I've never seen a team of players so happy. I don't think there was a single defensive player on the team disappointed when Vic Fangio left. They were all so happy because none of them liked him. He was great to start the year, but once he found out an opening in Philly, he wanted out. He did not want to stay. And look at what could have been if he just decided he wanted to, you know, actually stay. But good
Yeah.
for him,
Yeah, he's a great
It
defensive
hurts though.
coordinator.
It
He
hurts.
he was great. But yeah, anyways, there's like I said, there's not much about in that game. It was kind of a boring Super Bowl. Um on to the next season, I guess. Maybe next time we'll go into our super early Super Bowl predictions because of course we don't know who's going where, but just for fun, we might make some really early predictions, but maybe make some free agency predictions as well because there's so many names out. The Debo wants out, Max Crosby might get traded, Cooper Cup's getting traded. There's just so many names out
Tyreek
there.
Hill's in another
T
lawsuit.
T Higgins
Miles
is
Garrett.
free
There's
agent.
even the
Miles
NFL
Garrett.
draft coming up as
There's yeah,
well.
there's a lot to talk about. We'll get into that next time. Obviously, we know Washington's winning the Super Bowl next year, so we won't get into that. But
No, the Carolina Panthers.
Bryce Young is him.
maybe we'll figure out who the Steelers quarterback is going to be next year.
I'm gonna
It's
be the
not
Steelers
Maybe
quarterback.
Kenny
Skylar J.
Pickett's coming
Thompson.
back.
That'd
Skylar
actually
J.
be
Thompson. I
amazing.
hope you didn't throw out the jersey, even though you never had one.
Oh man, but yeah, so that's pretty much it for us today. Next time in a couple weeks, we'll be able to kind of review how the foreign nations went. NHL season will be starting back up, and there won't be much football, so maybe next time we'll get into some basketball, talk about the Luka trade, talk about who we think is going to win the championship, maybe get into some baseball. The Jays
Baseball
made some
spring
big
training.
move. Yeah, the spring training will be starting soon. Jays made some big moves this year. this offseason, sorry. And yeah, we'll get into all of that next time. So, anyways, this has been Unathletic Opinions, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.